What's that?
Hi, welcome back to a brand new episode. Sorry, there was a gap in stuff. Laura and I have been going utterly fucking crazy.
We were both sick. You got sick first, then I got
That's
sick.
right. I got the COVID. I got the Rona.
I didn't get the Rona, I just got the sick.
I just got the sick. I just got the ick. Yeah, almost 3 years in this crazy pandemic dodgeball game. I made it almost 3 years without ever getting it. And then we were all three taken out. My mom hardly had anything because she's had this is her fourth booster. She just got it, her fourth one a month ago. But Coy and I have only had one, so we got it not too bad, but it was a miserable. Yeah, for 4 days we were like, we're pretty sure we're dying. So that was that on that, but
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've gotten the sick and the COVID and the, 900 jobs. I got a new job as a paranormal tour guide here in Raleigh. So I have a tour shortly. So we're going to blow through this episode, not because we don't want to take time and spend with you guys, but I have to go to work.
And I have to try to hang Christmas lights in my house and not die. We're gonna do that.
Did you decorate the outside?
No, that's what I'm doing tonight.
Oh, I thought you said in your house.
Because I was sick, so, the last thing I
know.
wanted to do, and then it rained here, which is weird for Phoenix, but it rained all day, and I'm hoping it doesn't start raining before I go have time to hang them up.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's the plan.
That's the plan.
And
also,
decorate
guys,
the tree.
Apparently we're just smack dab into the EVPs now.
Yeah, this is happening.
Yeah, so...
Right.
The other thing is, our merch sale was a big success. Thank you so much to everybody who ordered. And look at what you could have had. I bought a ton of hoodies. I have 5 now. I have 5. Mm-hmm. Well, I had two from the last one, the ash gray one, and then I washed one of my ash gray hoodies with something purple. And so now that's a lovely shade of lavender. So I have that color.
Then you would have ordered that color anyway. I mean, been an option.
I would have, yeah. And then I ordered with the merch sale. Laura and I ordered our stuff, and I got this color. I got a bright blue one, and I got a wine colored one. I also got 2 t-shirts and 2 tank tops, and I got my mom a pair of sweatpants. Like, I went a little nuts, but we got it at cost.
I got a t-shirt and a couple sweatshirts.
5 total sweatshirts.
There's for people too.
Yeah, I was like,
I love that.
A couple. What are you talking about? Yeah, so the merch sale. Yeah, you have to for sure. The merch sale went really well. We are going to consider bringing it back early 2023, and then. The only other thing I had as far as EVPs, guys, was, yes, we did, we had said we were going to be at SpiritCon down in St. Augustine, Florida in May, but we're not. That got canceled. So instead, we are going to go to the Ohio Parapsychon. Yay. And that's going to be held at Ohio State Reformatory, otherwise known as Mansfield, also known as where Shawshank was filmed, also known as History of Haunting. Covered this episode, or covered this location in an episode back in, 20 whatever year, 20, I think. Anyway, we've covered it. Go listen to it. It's going to be super, super cool. Lots of really awesome people from the paranormal community are going to be there. Andrea Perrin, and I believe Dave Schrader, Shane Pittman, all of these guys. So we're going to be there as a vendor, guys, and come on out and see us. It's a huge weekend event. Lots of food trucks. Laura's very excited about that. It's just a really huge...
You make it sound like I don't eat.
No, I'm
that's not on wheels.
You don't eat anything that's not on wheels.
All I do is eat or something. I mean, kind of fair, but not really.
And she does love food that's on wheels. So
that's not untrue.
It's not untrue. So it's going to be a really great time, guys. It's going to be the weekend of May 19, 20, 21, or 18, 19, 20. In that vein, check out your 2023 calendar. Mansfield, Ohio. We're going to be there as vendors. Yay! That's all I had. Okay, it's fine. All right, so I got to leave in an hour and a half. So we guys are going to go ahead and get right into it. Laura, did you have anything else before we jump into today's location?
No, I don't. But this is a listener suggestion that was told to me when I was happening to be visiting LA actually. So, and this is fairly close to LA. So
Yeah,
pull it up.
Oh wait, I lied. I'm so sorry. I fucking lied. I did want to give a shout out, and I told her that I would. One of the podcast's longest listeners, longest fans. She was one of our Patreons. Her name is Layla, and Layla and I have gotten to be good friends over the last 3 fucking years we've been doing this podcast. What? 3 years, guys. Closing in on 200 episodes. But Layla just got married, and Laura, she got married in Savannah, Georgia. Her wedding pictures.
Nice. Love Savannah.
Oh God, her wedding pictures are absolutely stunning. So I wanted to give a shout out and a toast to Layla and her new husband. Congratulations, you guys. We hope that you have a wonderfully happy, wonderfully long, wonderfully spooky marriage together. So this episode is for you.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Let's see here. Okay, we are going to Laura, tell them everything.
We are going to the Channel Islands, California. Kind of.
Yeah, kind of. This
Channel
was a really
Island
good one.
University.
It's been a lot of stuff.
California.
Yeah.
That was a bunch of things before. So it's not actually the island themselves, but which I'm sure are also very spooky and cool.
So is it on an island or it's just so close to?
No, it's inland. It's close to where
okay.
It's on the mainland as opposed to on the Channel Island.
Okay.
But
so it's Channel Island adjacent.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. So, on that note.
All right.
We are talking about what is now the Channel Island branch of the university. But prior to that, it was Camarillo State Mental Hospital.
I love a good mental hospital. Oh, wait, sources real fast.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Sorry, guys. I didn't get a chance to update our source overlay, so we're literally flying by the seat of our stupid pants.
Right. So, as usual, we're on top of things. So, mine are users.resist.ca, Wikipedia, weird.ca, and latimes.com.
Okay, cool.
All right. So, this was also known as Camarillo State Hospital, and it was a public psychiatric hospital for both patients with developmental disabilities and mental illness in Camarillo, California.
Okay.
And the hospital was in operation from 1936 to 1997. The former hospital campus, like I was saying, it was redeveloped and opened in 2002 as a branch of the California State University Channel Islands. The university kept the distinctive mission revival style architecture, and the famous bell tower in the South Quad has been adopted as the symbol of the university.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We'll talk more about that in a little while.
Ooh,
so
right.
When the United States took possession of California and other Mexican lands in 1848, it was bound by the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo to honor the legitimate land claims of Mexican citizens residing in those captured territories. So the land upon which the former Camarillo State Hospital sat once belonged to Isabel Yorba as part of an 1836 land grant known as Rancho Gadalesca. This is just my poor Spanish. Okay, so in 1929, the California legislature initially appropriated $1 million for the purchase of land and buildings to be utilized for a state hospital. And 3 years later, they purchased 1,500 acres of the 8,600-acre Lewis Ranch, and that was located within the city of Camarillo, county of Ventura. Okay. And they got it for about $400,000.
Okay.
So then they rushed and got an architect and began to build because they wanted to originally accommodate 3,000 patients for the first unit. And the hospital was expected to cover 200 acres with supply wards, homes for, the officials, and dormitories for the employees and patients, commissaries and storerooms.
Right. Guys, by the way, The noise you hear is Laura's
Oh, yeah,
dog.
sorry.
He
He
has
is just
he's
going crazy on the
barking,
phone.
so she had to give him something to put in his mouth so that he would bark. So I was like, that sounds kind of creepy. I should probably explain what that is.
Yeah, I don't realize how loud he is. I like kind of block it out. Like just like
Yeah,
whatever.
I'm
I'm
just
not
so used to it that I just don't even hear it anymore.
seriously. Um, so the first um artist rendition of the hospital appeared in the Camarillo News in 1932.
Oh, okay.
And 50 male patients arrived in Camarillo in March of 1933, and they were initially housed in the farmhouse on the ranch. And that number grew to over 100 in 1934. Then they, got busy building. And oh, so, sorry, now I'm like distracted by the sound. Like, woof, dude, take it easy.
Okay.
So, okay. Um, in 1933, the Camarillo State Hospital, and they call it CAM.
Oh, okay.
It did get its official name, and it joined 6 other state institutions that had 16,000 patients between them.
In
Which is a lot of
California or
in
across the country?
California back in the
Whoa.
30s. No, just in California.
Woof. That's a lot of mentally ill folk.
Yeah.
But
Or
it is.
developmentally challenged either, they kind of just threw everybody in
I
there.
mean, yeah, if you woman read novels, in you went.
Right. She's a thinker.
Oh no. Put her away. She's a thinker.
Um, so again, yeah, the first ones were men, and then in 37 they got 300 women that came from other hospitals. In fact, there were so many patient transfers from other overcrowded state hospitals, the other ones obviously, um,
They were
that they
like,
ended up
thank
having to build
God.
a North complex that they
Holy
started in
shit.
39.
It is
Um,
a big place.
this is a big place. So at that time, then they divided them into like male and female.
Oh, okay.
So in 47, they opened a ward for the admission of children with developmental disabilities. So when this ward expanded, a children's treatment center was constructed and occupied in January of 55. The facility
Mm-hmm.
grew with a new and receiving treatment and an administration building in 49. Staff population around that time was around 1,500. So in 1957, the patient population reached its peak, exceeding 7,000.
Oh my
And
God.
that was the largest they ever had.
I was like, wow, staff of 1,500. That sounds really doable. And then you're like, but the patients.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to tell some stories about the kind of stuff that happened there in a little bit.
Cool.
Because those are always good times. So prior to 59, the adolescent males and females were housed with the mentally disabled adults.
Oh, geez.
And in 1959, the adolescent females, including autistic patients, were separated from their adult counterparts. So that was a good thing.
That was a
And by
good thing.
68, the adolescent division was even separated from the children's division and organized into 4 treatment units and a special school.
Oh, okay.
So the hospital began its double duty in 67 when its role as a mental hospital for illnesses such as schizophrenia and depression was widened to include a center for clients with developmental disabilities such as organic brain disease, autism, and other birth defects that limit the ability to learn.
Okay.
In 1969, the Lanterman-Petrus Short Act became effective, and that was a big deal for nationwide. It became a big deal because it eliminated the previous indefinite confinements of people who were found by a court to be mentally disabled.
Oh,
So
okay.
instead of just being put away forever, this act in California has said that they had to um, like every year they had to go back and reconsider people that had been hospitalized involuntarily.
Oh, wow. All right.
So state agencies encouraged outside placement of individuals under the penal code,
Nah.
which in turn led levels of care or services at state hospitals to decrease, which while costs of care increased.
Okay.
So good and bad. But
I mean,
it
right.
did at least give the people who had been, put in a chance to, they just weren't like put in for life anymore. They could
Right.
actually
Yeah.
get out
Right.
a little bit. they had to be reviewed. So in 1971, the Camarillo treatment staff was reorganized under a program management concept, which enabled the establishment of treatment programs for people with similar needs. So basically, they what a like crazy idea. We're gonna put people that have the same kind of issues together
Together,
as opposed to
sure,
just putting
sure.
them all together.
Right. Instead of putting somebody that had developmental disabilities in with two criminally insane murderers.
I mean, you know,
Like I love Trans Allegheny, but they did some dumb
yeah,
stuff. They
right,
did some
exactly.
dumb things.
So, and then in 1983, an innovative approach to treatment for the mentally disabled was initiated at CAM. The activity allowed adult patients to be placed in a day treatment location away from the living units. So, patients were allowed to leave
Oh, okay.
at various times to attend therapy groups, activity, educational programs.
Cool.
Um, they also benefited from treatment approaches that were developed by UCLA.
Oh, all right.
So the scheduling of patient into groups based on their needs and strengths allowed for the most individualized treatment available in the history of the facility. So some of the stuff that came out of this place was good and kind of groundbreaking at different times.
Yeah.
I mean, generally the place was terrible, but we'll get to that.
Damn it. It wasn't all holding
No,
hands and singing Kumbaya.
it's not.
Mm.
So, and then in 85 to further this new vision and role for the hospital, um, it evolved from a locked lifetime institution for the severely mental ill into a facility which provided innovative and successful treatment modalities for drug and alcohol abusers,
Cool.
as well as programs that stabilize the mentally and developmentally disabled and successfully return them to society. So, for many years, the hospital remained independent and autonomous from the outside world, with its own gardens, ice house, dairy, butcher, fire and police departments, hospital, beauty parlors, petting zoo, clothing store, swimming pool, and bowling alley.
Oh, all right.
It even housed staff on its grounds, with its accreditation ratings consistently high in the 80s and the 90s. The hospital seemed like it was going to last forever. Unfortunately, the end of the institution came to economic challenges and a changing outlook on mental health treatment.
Yeah.
So in 67, Governor Ronald Reagan signed the bipartisan that Lanterman Petra Short Act, which impacted a lot of the state hospitals, forcing many to close immediately. But another contributing factor was in 96 when the governor created a special task force to look at the hospital and to see how effective it was versus, cost.
Sure.
So that task force cited that it housed as many as, over 7,054. It only had 871 clients in 96,
Whoa.
and the per capita cost had risen to nearly 114,000, which is the second highest in the state mental health system.
Wow.
Then they
Yeah.
ended up, closing it in 96.
Yeah.
Um, and then again, the university took over, and originally the state had kind of wanted to turn it into a prison. But the community was like, no, we'd rather not. So instead, they turned it into a university.
Let's educate our young here.
Right? This is such a cool place.
Alrighty.
And that's what it is to this day. Um,
Good Lord.
one of the coolest things that I thought, so as you know, I love jazz.
Oh, yeah.
There was one of the most famous people to ever spend time here was Charlie Bird Parker. He was a famous jazz musician and one of my favorites. And he stayed as a resident for 6 months in 46 and 47.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Parker had a big drug and alcohol problem. And in June 46, he had entered the lobby of Hollywood's Civic Hotel completely naked, playing his saxophone. He was sent back to his hotel room where he lit a cigarette, fell asleep, and subsequently then set his bed on fire.
And he was a guest at the hotel?
Yeah.
Oh, my. Okay.
So the judge sent him to the mental hospital. And
Probably not a bad idea.
yeah, he stayed, got better-ish. And upon his release, he recorded the famous song Relaxin' at Camarillo.
Oh, my God. Really?
Yeah. Um, this hospital is also rumored to be the Eagles' inspiration for the classic rock song Hotel California.
Yeah.
However, Glenn Fry and Don Henley did deny that in the documentary History of the Eagles.
Yeah.
Um,
Actually, you know what? I think I mentioned that too. There
yeah.
was something about
The album cover and how it looks like the bell tower of the famous bell tower. That's kind of why I mentioned it earlier.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
iconic, and now it's used as part of like the kind of trademark of the this branch of the university. But it's also, if you kind of look at the album cover
Yeah.
for Hotel California, it resembles that very much in the background there.
Yeah. Okay. So then yeah, we did read the same article. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'll
I,
probably.
I was like, I feel like I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, I did see it actually mentioned in a bunch of stuff about this place. Um, and then and I did tell you, there was about 7,000 back in the 50s. At one point, this was the largest psychiatric hospital west of the Mississippi.
Hang on, guys.
Okay, so patients there were rumored to have undergone, it's not even rumored, they went under under electroshock therapy, as well as being immersed in tubs of hot water, followed by being wrapped in icy towels. There were lobotomies um, that occurred, as well as rampant patient abuse and negligent deaths.
I feel like every single one of our listeners just rattled all of those things off with you because it's the same for every, like, I feel like they were like lobotomy, ice bath, hot water.
Right. Patients were often left alone in restraints, heavily drugged alone in isolation rooms.
These are some pictures of what it looked like when it was a mental hospital. So you've got a surgery room here that looks like happy things happened there, and
Always.
then a little like sunroom. It looks like with some patients looking like they're playing or having a conversation or yeah. So these are a couple of pictures I found of it when it was a lovely and progressive medical
Right.
institution.
So a big thing that will differ, I think, differ here. California surprisingly was a huge practicer of eugenics, um, particularly from the 20s well into the 50s.
Yeah.
And for people who are not familiar with what that is, they sterilized a lot of people that they deemed were that they didn't want to procreate, basically. So
Yeah.
um,
That
all
they
the
didn't felt were deficient of being like a
character or health wise, mentally ill, any of those
yeah,
things.
like any kind of super breeder, they wanted people that were beautiful and smart and tall and just were good air quote breeders.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so what they did in California, and this is well documented, they sterilized without their consent almost like a very large percentage of the any of the mental
Mentally ill.
people that were in the mental hospitals, developmentally disabled people that were and living. They did people that were on welfare. They did women that were considered
Thinkers?
promiscuous, yeah, or thinkers.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
Promiscuous? Oh jeez.
yeah. I mean, all kinds of people. I mean, they could have just been simply foreign. I mean,
Right, yeah.
they actively sterilized people. There were cases that came up later against the state of California for people who had been sterilized. One big famous one was this girl. She got her mom put her in, I believe, into a mental institution, and um, she was sterilized there at her mother's request because it sounds like she had had sex as a teenager, and her mom wasn't a fan.
Dude, if they
So
did that with every single teenager that had sex, the population would die out.
mhm.
There goes humanity.
And that wasn't yeah.
I'm not saying every teenager, but a big chunk of us sure did.
I don't. Speak for yourself, Gary.
Oh,
Still a virgin. Um. So there was a wide swath of society that ended up in Camarillo State um, between when it opened in 36 and when it finally closed in 97. I mean, teenagers, the women who rebelled, um, drug users, people who drank, criminally insane, the questionably insane, and sometimes people who
Which is
just didn't speak
us.
English.
We are
Right.
the questionably insane.
So, um, there's a lot of archives and a lot of LA Times articles about some of the stuff that happened there. And I'm going to tell you some fun things, just about some of the stuff that hit the headlines. Uh, in the 70s, the hospital was under a lot of scrutiny for a lot of negligent deaths that were happening. And not great. So there's an LA Times article from November 11, 1976, and it has a headline: Hospital laxity may have caused deaths. The article says that in September of 1974, A. Cross, 35, died of smoke inhalation in a small seclusion room after apparently setting fire to his sheets with matches.
How the fuck do you get matches?
Nobody, yeah. Supposedly they had taken them away. Guess not, because there were
Not the
cigarette
ones
butts
that.
and stuff in there. Yeah.
Oh god. Jeez. Okay.
So again in 76, um, there was, like I said, it was the fourth day of public hearings before the Ventura County grand jury, and they were talking about the Camarillo State Hospital. So one of the cases cited in this article was the death by starvation of Stephen Miller, 33, who died at Camarillo in September of 74 also.
Ugh.
The man in charge of the ward the night Miller died said to reporters that the ones to blame for Miller's death were your senators, your Department of Mental Health, and your governor. He also said there's just too much paperwork. In another case from the same 76 article, a 30-year-old retarded patient died on June 8, 1975, by choking on her own vomit after the nursing staff tried for 24 hours to get a staff doctor to look at her. The nurse said the patient had gained 15 pounds in 4 days due to drinking water, and eventually the patient died before the doctor showed up to help.
Oh my god.
This 1976 grand jury was investigating 13 suspicious deaths at Camarillo since 1973 over a 3-year span. And that's just like probably most egregious. In the 1970s, Camarillo routinely overdrugged incoming patients with something they simply referred to as number one, which was mixed shots of Thorazine, Stelazine, Hyoscine, or Serentil, Stelazine, and Hyoscine, according to a 76 LA Times article by Ellen Hume. So this tranquilizer cocktail was discontinued in March of 1976 due solely to people dying from it and grand jury inquisitions into why.
My
Um,
god.
yeah. This is a quote: the Ventura County District Attorney is investigating more than 100 deaths at Camarillo State Hospital over the last 3 years, and charges of murder or manslaughter may be filed by the end of the year, a spokesman for the district attorney's office said. So they were looking hard at 79 deaths, including cases of drug overdoses, strangulation, and possible gross negligence by hospital staff.
Possible.
All right. Seriously, exactly.
Holy
Um,
shit.
yeah, I mean, and this is in the 70s when things were getting better.
Yeah. They were
It's crazy.
so much better, Laura.
So
So
much.
much better.
And this is, of course, aside from the suicides, the murders, the everything else that happens.
Good
There's a
God.
story of um, this guy named Thomas Riddle, and he was 37. He had committed himself to
Thomas
their drug and alcohol.
Marvolo Riddle?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Oh my God. No
How much Harry
wonder.
Potter thing today. I'm not making this up. Um, is, so he committed himself for drug and alcohol treatment, right? And for detoxification. So, but 2 hours after he was admitted in 1976 in November as a patient, he was found dead, shackled at the hands and feet in an isolation room at Camarillo's acute psychotic ward. The autopsy said he had died from asphyxiation due to compression of the neck and multiple drug overdose. Apparently, the patient was full of vodka, methadone, Valium, and barbiturates when he was admitted, but the staff didn't check for other drugs in the system before they gave him that number one cocktail to subdue him, because he didn't seem very subdued when he came in. I'm sure he's pretty subdued.
Oh my God.
The article says that he was subdued by 5 hospital employees, locked into leather cuffs, and tied down to a wheelchair. He was wheeled to the acute psychiatric ward. Um, and then a technician on duty that night told the grand jury that he did not feel that there was enough staff on the ward to subdue the patient without the heavy tranquilizers.
Oh my God.
Yeah. There's also, I mean, there were escapes. The thing is that around the hospital, it was very desert for a long time, right? This is before LA was, built up all the way to
Right.
Ventura County. There were people that would escape, and there was really no sheriff in that town, but most of the people would get picked up pretty quickly because it was all desert. There's nowhere to go.
Right. If you saw somebody, it was
people,
likely they were from Camarillo.
right. And people weren't like picking them up. There was one guy who was a veteran. This in the 50s. He got out, and he was a veteran of the Korean War. He hated it there so much. He'd only been there not less than a month, maybe even less than a week. But he said it was so terrible that he got out, left, got across, went to LA, ended up getting in with a reporter and talking about how terrible it was there. And there was only, that's kind of when it came to light too, that there were only 4 security guards in the 50s when there were 7,000 people there. There were 4 security guards. Yes, there were workers, but only 4 security guards for the whole place, and there weren't fences around it.
Yeah.
It was just the desert.
Was there that "Don't pick up hitchhikers" sign along the highway?
I'm sure there was, but that guy, somebody picked him up because he got to LA by that night. So,
oh my God.
he ended up, getting on the news with a pretty famous LA news reporter at the time. So, I mean, this is the kind of crazy stuff that was just happening there all the time. Like, it seems like ever since it opened.
Holy shit.
Just banana stuff.
This is a really good listener suggestion. This is a really good one. I'd never heard of this
just
place.
how crazy it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hadn't either. So when the person who actually was a nurse told me about this place, she had gone to school there, and she said it used to be a mental hospital. And I was like, no way. She said, yeah, and there's all kinds of crazy stuff that happened there, which I know that you're going to talk about, but lots
Did she have
experiences? Yeah, like they said it was super haunted. She said the way that she made it sound was that a lot of the students who went, it's just known that that's what it is, haunted.
When you apply, that's when you're just wow.
They just say you do know you're going to Hotel California, right?
On the application, listen. Right. Full disclosure.
How many roommates are you comfortable with? Like, they don't take up a lot of room, but they might be kind of noisy.
And they might watch you shower.
Right. I mean, maybe.
That's funny.
All right. So that is...
Good job.
Story of the Camarillo State Hospital, aka Channel Island.
I didn't know that about the eugenics. That takes it to a whole other creepy, disgusting level.
Yeah, and that was really prominent all over California.
Yeah. Well, okay, yeah. That is the history as to why it's haunted, guys. So let's get into my part. I got my information from Medium. This is all.com. Medium, Creepy LA, the Armijo Signal, and Backpackerverse, all.com. So, witnesses do describe all kinds of eerie stories and weird happenings. Some reports involve apparitions, the usual suspects, right, guys? Apparitions, moving objects, voices. But in addition, headaches, nausea, dizziness, and fatigue, which I've only been to a handful of locations that actually have given me physical feelings like that. But the site gets used by filmmakers for movies. And the filmmakers who use the site for sets noticed cold spots, or objects would go missing, windows slamming, strange knocking. As Laura said, the building is now used by California State University Channel Islands. And like she said, the students to this day, even the graduate, the alumni, swear that it's haunted. So located on the parcel of land that it's on was a dairy farm that produced crops and housed livestock that fed the hospital community. The farm was disbanded in the 1960s and has been left in a state of disrepair, falling prey over the decades to vandals, and it has since been coined the Scary Dairy So let's let's take a little peek at the
I
scary
read
dairy.
about that. I thought it was super funny, the scary dairy.
Did you? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's take a peek at the scary dairy. So this is what it looks like today. There's two sections of it. There's this like domed, what looks like, I don't know, was sort of some
Like a
sort of
barn.
barn type of place. And then this building here that's got graffiti all over it, you actually can't get to these because it's all blocked off by a gate. And I guess there's cameras on it, so because as you can see, trespassers are a big thing. So you can't, it's not easily accessible, and again, it's on the university property, but because of its condition, they don't want anyone to go in there. So there's no trespassing, there's cameras, they will catch you guys, so don't even try to go to the scary dairy. But what you will find, should you be dumb enough to go, is people hear many things, from the sound of a woman crying in that abandoned building, to heavy doors slamming shut, scratching on the walls when no one is around, which I think would be just
That's the
foul.
gross. Yeah, that's harsh.
Yeah. In other locations throughout the university, lights flicker in the locker-lined hallways, rustling bars covering the windows of abandoned buildings shake for no reason. Like there's no earthquake. You just walk by and you hear like,
No wind or anything.
no,
Just
almost like patients are trying to shake the rattle the
oh,
bars.
yeah.
So this one building looks like it's just a college with some broken windows here and there, but no. There, a lot of the unexplained activity takes place near the dorms that are known as Anacapa and Santa Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
In the years past, Santa Cruz, that houses the lower class dorms. Mainly Building H was used to house patients when it was a mental hospital. So the next building over is like falling apart, broken, rusting windows, door frames. If you take a walk on the campus and you can look through the broken windows to see papers littering the floor, like medical records, there's sometimes medical supplies you'll find, and then drawings on the walls from former patients that are really creepy to look at. So it looks like it's just a warm, welcoming place. One student that